Okay, looks good. Hello everyone, we're back at it again. I'm working on Hawaii and I want to show you how I'm going to implement the next step. I thought it was interesting, so I thought why not just, instead of just working on it, I might as well just stream it again this time and see how far we go. Last time we were working on the implementation for the HTTP runtime, so the code that gets generated which actually makes the call, in which we implemented this async, the send async function, and it takes the client, which HTTP method, the path for the request, and a bunch of request parts, and it applies those request parts to the HTTP request. So it first apply JSON content if it's there, apply binary content if it's there, apply URL encoded form data, and multi-part form data if they're there. So these are basically very generic functions to populate the request with whatever parts are included in this list, and it makes for a really nice API when generating the code, because the each method of the client will make up their content parts from the function parameters. So we're basically collecting the parameters into this request parts list and giving it to the async HTTP function. And what we get back is a status code and content. So this is how far I am with the generation, with the code generation. I need to actually do something with content and status, and this is what we're going to do today. As always, if there's something with the sound, something's not working, just let me know. I will be checking out the chat every now and then if you have questions, of course. So let's see how that goes. So what I did so far, I've been working on generating the client members, and they're starting to look really good. So for example, here we have the pet store client, and it generated this member called update pet, and this one actually returns a task. So this is one of the things I'm working on. I want to build something that can that allows you to choose whether you want async, task, or simply asynchronous member. If you don't care about async, or you simply want to use this in a console application where you don't care too much about async and stuff like that, and it's easier to show, to demo when it's just synchronous. So this is actually part of the generation configuration. Way down below, I still need to make a proper config thing from here where you load the configuration from a JSON file, but I still don't have that yet, so that's fine. For now, I'm just prototyping and figuring out what the best shape of the client should be. So for example, if I say I want async as the return type, .NET run this again, it will generate, by the way, I'm using the pet store v3, so I'm using this file to generate the client. It will take a little bit. Alright, and we get our client, and now it has async instead of task. It takes a bit of a while to for Ionite to pick it up, but here we go. So it takes an update and returns and uses async. But if we want, and of course when we use async we have, let's see, when you use async we have this let bang thingy, and when you are working with synchronous code we don't use let bang, we just use let, so that happens here as well. So if I say synchronous methods is now set to true, we should no longer get any async type. So this is going quite well. I only need to work on the output from here. So there you go. That's these are the client functions. I'm hearing stuff outside. If you hear stuff outside, let me know. I'll close the window. But basically this is it. The synchronous parts, instead of put async, the function called put will be called, and we get a content and a status back, and using those two and the information I have from the OpenAPI definition, I should be able to make a nice output from here. And I was debating how I should make the output, because it's quite interesting. You see, first, before we go into that, I want to show you how this code looks like that generates this. So if I go to program, and I kind of forgot that you can make more than one file in here, so I'm making the entire implementation in one file. I should probably break this out a little bit. We're already going into the 1500 lines mark, which is fine, you know, it doesn't matter, it doesn't get in the way. It's easy to do it like that. But basically, we have the function called create OpenAPI client. It takes a document, it takes a list of visitor types, the codegen configuration, makes the component, and makes a bunch of client members. So each of those members is going to be created from the operations, and each operation will have its own thing. So here we start to make the content of the operation. So here, for example, this is an expression that makes the let binding, the let bang binding, and this is another one that deconstructs the response, the synchronous response. It's all Syn expression. This is like the F# AST again. You've seen this before. So we're basically using these expressions to build the client members. Also, like how the request values or request parts, I should call them. Request parts is just a list of expressions. List part. No, I think we already have request parts. This should be. Alright, I won't change it for now. Where is it? Request values. So basically, from the parameters, we make a partial application of the request part dot something, and the content of that something, the arguments of that function, will be given from here. So if you look at the generated code, this is a partial function application, and this is the expression that it takes, and we're making those as a list. So yeah, I think this is quite it is a bit verbose. It took me a lot of time to do this. For example, create partial application is a helper function I made the other day, which recursively applies create app, the Syn expression create app, to, well, recursively apply the functions. So for example, if you want to say F1, 2, and 3, this is actually, well, you know this from F#, but it's 2 and 3, right? Something like this. So when we generate the AST, it has to go like, it has to do like, okay, you want to apply F to 1, and then you want to apply that to 2, and then you want to apply whatever the result is of that to 3, right? So it's the same goes with when generating these syntactic expressions, except I made this partial application, in which case I give it part app f and 1, 2, 3, and it will do exactly this. So yeah, it's a bit weird at first, but once you get the hang of the syntax expression, you start to it starts to get easier. Of course, it's still quite complicated, but we'll see how this goes. Alright, so what I wanted to go back to is yeah, so the return expression is something I need to work on, because right now the return is just a unit. As you can see from what client generates, this is the return when I have this is the return when I have a thingy, when I have synchronous, and when I have task, it will be like an actual return keyword being in here. So this is something I need to work on, but but before that I need to actually work on what the response shape should be, right? Because this is a bit complicated. As you can see here, if I go to the operations, let's look at one of the client ones. So here I have an operation called update pet. Let me look this up in the definition. Yeah, update pet. We've already handled the request body. We don't care. Yeah, but the responses are a bit complicated, because according to this API, it says it is possible that it returns a 200 response, in which case the body will be, the response body, the response content will look like this, which is a pet. So the return type here is a pet, assuming that will be the updated pet. But we could also have 400, 404, or 405. So what I wanted to do in this session is try to model those as a union of potential return values. Pair operation, of course, because pair operation might return, for example, this one happens to return these 4, but another operation might not. So this one, for example, this is called add pet. It returns 200 and only 404. I think this is bad request. But yeah, so each operation has its own set of potential response types, and I want to make something nice out of it. So I thought a little bit about what the output should be of these functions and how to generate them. It's easy if I show you what I want, because, for example, when we have something called update pets, what I wanted to do is generate a type which is the same as the name of the operation. It will require full qualified access because we need that. Well, we don't, but I think it's important. And then for the OK response will be pet, not found, bad request, or something else. I think it was a not found, bad request, or unauthorized maybe, I'm not sure. 405, no, not this one, I meant this one. Okay, no, the 400 is a bad request, but this one is a validation exception. What was 405 again? Status code 405. Method not allowed. Okay, we can do that. So basically, where is it? In the client. So basically, bad request not found and method not allowed. Not allowed. So this is what I want the output type should be. So here we will say if status equals to 100, I mean HTTP status code OK. Then that will be update pet OK, and then is it OK like this? Yeah. Update pets OK, and then the content will be deserialize the content. The nice thing about F# is that I don't need to give serialize what the argument type should be. This one should be OK. And then else this will be update pet method not allowed, something like this basically. Serialize will know that T should be pet because OK is expecting a pet type in here. So this is basically what I want to generate, except that I need to like exhaust the potential possibilities here and then do something about it. So I need to start by first making this discriminated union from each operation, and then once that is in, I should start by implementing these if-else branches, and then use the very last one as the else branch. I'll have to see how this works. I think I could do that with reflection, if I just like write a function that uses reflection and then takes the status and HTTP code and what the return type should be and do that in reflection. I think that would be a lot easier than having to generate the exact F# syntax tree. But I think that would be nicer from a code readability point of view, because I made this function. I want to make this function debuggable so that you could put a breakpoint here or here to see what's going on, you know, just like if someone would write the code. And what's more, I think it would be a lot nicer if we can take the descriptions from here and put them as comments here. That would be great, right? Because that will be not found, pet not found. Well, this is one is here, just to give more information about what's going on. And bad request will be if you have invalid ID supplied, right? So yeah, this is the one, and then pair operation, we will have to do that. So that's a bit of the challenge for today. So far so good. Any questions? No? Alright. Let's get into it. So we already know how to create unions because I've already shown that before. These are, for example, the generated types, and we already have a union here in place. So we already have a function or two to work with these types. And let me see how that looks like. So here I think I have create flags enum and create enum type. Okay, I need to just copy paste this and do something with it. So let me just copy this, remove the stuff I don't need. So from each operation I need to create this type, right? Which will take create response type, which will take an operation. Let's see, operation, OpenAPI operation, is that a thing? Hey, that's indeed a thing. That's nice. So just using the operation, I should get a union after from it, or in this case a syntactic module declaration. The name will be from the operation itself, operation ID, and it's unique, so that's great. Unique string used to identify the operation ID must be unique among operations. Alright, I need to capitalize this just in case. Capitalize the operation ID. I don't need the string enum. I do need required qualified access attribute. And then I need to make union cases from here. And this is where it gets interesting, because I need to look. Okay, let's say values is this dummy string. Let's see how this goes. And I definitely don't need to make any match cases in here. Maybe later I will check, I'll make helper members that like static properties, no, just properties that say whether it's okay or is not found, things like that. But for now, don't really care about that. So members will be just an empty list. Alright, it takes an operation, so we need to go through all operations, right? And the config. I'm not sure if I'm going to need the config right now. But if I don't, I won't need it. So response type, and then here we'll have to do something about it. So let's see. So maybe I think we can have operation dot responses or something like that. Hey, responses. The list of possible responses. And what is this? Is this an enumerable of something? Please. Okay, so it has a key, and I think the key is the I think the key is the name, is the status code as a string. So let's see. Status codes status code is a function which takes 200, returns OK, 404. I'm just going to handle like the most common ones. Some not found. 400 is some bad request. If I can actually do this, request, yeah, sounds good. 401 will be some unauthorized. 405 is some method not allowed. We also have 500, which will be internal error. Yeah, I can actually use the HTTP codes, right? Name of HTTP status code. Okay. Is that better? That's much better. It should give me just the OK, right? When I use name of. Let's see. This. Internal server error. What else? I don't know. For now. Just going to do this. For anything else, give it a none. And then status code will take a string and returns option a string, which means that we can check here status code from the response status. Just status. If we have some value, some case name, then do your thing, otherwise ignore. It says it's not happy because I haven't used. Okay, it doesn't need compiled name, of course. Docs will be the description. Let's see that in a moment. This is a string, right? No, this is a response, and response key will be checked against. It has no attributes. The cases don't have any attributes. The name will be the identifier name. We will have to do something about the fields because those are coming from the types of the response. And here I could say, and the docs will be response description, maybe? Is that a thing? It's not. What's description? Response description. Response. Value and then description. There you go. So this will be the docs. And then we get our union from it. Okay. So far so good. And now this creates a Syn Module Declaration. So we can basically, when we're generating the global types, generate, let's see, global types. Yeah, create global types module. It will need a bunch more of these. Okay. module types. Okay. Say Syn Module Declaration. Okay, we can do this. So for path in, well, that's not helpful, in OpenAPI documents. Come on. Paths do, and then for operation in path, value operations do, and then we get an operation right here. Or actually we get a type of the operation and the actual operation. We don't care about the type, so we will say let response type equals create response type from the operation value, which will be an operation, and we have module types dot add the response type. Does that look okay? Alright, let's run and see. Oh, I think I have a problem right away. Derive. So derive operation name. I want to use it. Operation name and path. Sometimes the operation isn't. The operation name is null. In which case I try to derive it from the path and the type. So that might become a thing. Okay, let's see how this looks like before that. .NET run. And let's look at the types. And I think we've generated something right here. Hey! That is cool, isn't it? Find pets by status. Okay, but this doesn't entirely look right. Because when you ask for something, is okay the only thing you can get? Should there be like a fallback or something like that? Especially for things that have one type of response, because if you delete is the only thing you can get a bad request, what do you get when you actually delete the thing? There's some conventions that need to be applied here. I think when you don't have an okay response type, we should add something like status, just as a fallback of well, int maybe. Just because a non-successful response cannot be the output here. So there might be something that needs to be done on this aspect. Hey, create user doesn't have any responses. Or let's see, maybe I just missed them. So logout user, logout user, what? Oh, there's a default response. The default is a successful operation. Okay. Do they all have defaults? Let's see. So back to here. Something like this. Let's see what kind of types we get. Types. Alright, so the default, sometimes you can get either default or OK, which is weird. What did logout user? So logout user is OK, and this one is either OK or bad. Let's look at create user with list inputs. Create user with create user with list input. So this is the one, and here the responses are either 200 or OK. Okay, that's a bit weird. It's weird that this is allowed. I think I have to filter out the responses. Let responses is, well, what's this exactly? Key value pair of a string and this thingy. Well, I could just make a condition for that. If the response key, if response key is default, if it's default, but the responses already contain an OK. Tell me it has a contains key. Then ignore. How about that? It's a bit bad, I think, but it's not ideal, but it should work. I'm just looking for like the minimal work that makes a working implementation. And we still have one error. So this one is weird. Create users with list inputs. Why does it say if response is default? and we already have this key ignore. That's the deal, right? So why is this happening? Yeah, this one is for the OK, and this one is for the, because from the description you can see this is from the default one. Okay. If key is default, which is this one. I'm an idiot. That should do. Hey, and now the errors are gone. Update pet, those things. Okay, let's try to get the types in here. So if we say, so basically the fields will be this one. Let's field type is get field, get case field type from the response value, isn't it? From the response value, and I think it has something like schema. Is this a schema on its own? Content? What's content? Okay. Alright. If content contains application JSON, because that's my assumption that I'm only working with JSON, then some field types else. So if I have a map contain descriptions of potential response payloads, this key is a media type or media type range. Or media type range. Media type range. I guess it is possible to get an OK with like a byte array back. That would be a bit weird. Let's handle JSON, only JSON for now. So if I get this, then give me the type. Let's response payload type will be the response content, and this response JSON. And this is a OpenAPI media type, and I think I could do stuff with it. I think it has a schema, doesn't it? Yeah, that's it. So let's see. Union case field. It takes a list of Syn fields. Okay. So Syn fields create. What does field take? I'm sure there was a create field or something. No? I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere else. Hey. I do have it here. Okay, let's see. Payload field type will be Syn type string. So I'm not using it just yet. Let me just see how I can make a field types from here. Fields type, no field types. Then, or maybe I could just like say dots from RCD. Yeah, and so field types will be the union case in here. But it says string for now, and that's incorrect. Let field type is get field type from the response payload type, which we don't have yet. So just for now, I'm just gonna implement this in a bit. Just want to see how far we are. Hey, I get a compiler error. Oh yeah, because this should be in here. Like this? Yeah. So far so good. This is going in the right direction. Now I only need to implement the payload type. Just need to check every now and then whether this is working, because last time I just kept working without checking the lights, and I was working late, so you could see like the first of the stream it looked like this, and then at the end of the stream this was like pitch dark. So let's not do that again. And we have our types. Hey, look at this. This is so cool. Except we don't have a string. So that's not so cool, but we could do that in a bit. I really like this. I just want to make sure that we're doing this in the right way. So let's see, derive operation name. I actually want to use this above, so let me see. Derive operation name goes all the way up somewhere here. And then I need to call this when I'm making these types. Where is it? Create response type. It will take all those things. It will take whatever this needs. So let's type name is derive operation name, and this will take the operation name, which will be the capitalized operation ID, and it needs a path, so we need to give it a path. What else? And it needs the operation type. Okay. Operation type is operation type. So that would be the last one. And the type name is this. Okay, except now that we don't have those things in here. Create response types will also need the path dot key, and the operation type will be operation dot key as well. we go. So now this should work even though you don't have should work. Alright, where is it? Types. That is cool. Except that I don't like these strings, so let's do something about them. Alright, I know what to do. I'm just gonna copy paste some of the work I did before, and everything should be fine and dandy, so I think I should be able to put this. Now the reason I'm copying this thing instead of using it as a function is that it is a bit different. It's quite different actually, so let me define it up here and not call that param type. Instead it is get field type. So it's almost the same, except I have to do something about the objects. Yeah, this is okay-ish. Let me put it aside, doesn't need anything. So this will be the field type. I need to refactor this entire thing a bit later. For now, like I said, I just want to make something working. So that will be a response type which has a schema, and the field type will be here. I don't want a string. Alright. The types. Hey, that looks exactly as what I did before, except now it has descriptions, payloads, find pets by status. Nice. What you get back is a list of pets. Find pets by tags. You get a list of pets as well. Get pet by ID. If it's okay, you get a pet. Method not allowed. That is really cool. Okay, get inventory did not return something nice. Upload file has an API response, which, okay, now it makes sense because API response itself has code, message, and type. So that is fine. This looks good. Create user, you get a user. Login user, you get a string back. Is that it? That doesn't look right. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at the schemas, the definitions. So login user, what do you get back? The responses 200, and the content when it's JSON is just a string. Okay, so that's actually correct. You do get 200 with this. That is cool. Successful operation. As you can see, I am ignoring lots of those things. I'm not sure if I have to do something with X rate limit and X expires after. Because right now, I'm not doing anything with these headers. That's interesting. I'm not doing anything with the headers. Yeah, but what to do with the headers? Return them as part of the response? I'm not sure. Let's see how this will work. So I want to know why it failed here, basically. Why did it fall back to string when it didn't know what to do? Let's see. So debug project. Let's see, what's the schema like? So this schema has type object. Hey, it has additional properties and the type is object. Additional properties. I get it. Okay. Let's handle this quickly. So let's see when schema additional properties allowed. Let type name will be value type will be get field type from schema, because additional properties means that we are working with a dictionary basically, and the value type of the dictionary is coming from this mini schema. So let value type will be that. The key type is always a Syn type of string, and the result type will be a map using the key type and the value type. Alright, that looks good. So we create a dictionary from the value and the key. I have a feeling I'm copy pasting this logic a lot in multiple places where I'm not sure what kind of input it needs. Hey, I got a null reference exception. That is not good. Is it because and not is null? There you go. Now it works, and let's look at the types. Hey, there we go. Get inventory. It returns a payload of a map, string, and integer. Let's look at get inventory. Get inventory. It returns an object, additional properties, type integer. So yeah, this is correct. It returns a map of status codes to quantities. Status codes to quantities. So I think like available and how many, pending how many, sold how many, things like that. That is cool. That is pretty cool. I still need to figure out what to do with security parts here. But yeah, this looks quite nice. I think I'm getting there. Upload files, get an API response, and all these types are defined. That's great. Okay, you know what? Let's push this thing. Implement response types in global types module. That wasn't too bad. That went actually way smoother than I had expected. And I already got what I want. Somehow, because I still want to see if there aren't any okay responses here, then I should definitely add some kind of fallback and do something about that from there. But this is already, I'm quite happy with it. And with that said, let's go back to implementing the actual runtime. So now we have update pet. We need the client to start using it. So the client should say, well, before the client can say anything, it needs to open the system.net namespace. So let's do that. Where is it? Here. We need a Syn Module Declaration. Create open, and that will be system.net. Of course, I know you're telling me to do this just before here, and that is what I'm doing. Okie dokie. And with that, we only need to start implementing the return expression, which will be quite fascinating. By the way, let's go back to these thingies. Status codes. I'm gonna need this piece of functionality, so let's put it out here. It's nicer like this. Okay. I'm gonna need those again. I'm not sure how to handle binary types here, at least from deserialization point of view. Because let's say if what if you return a file? Else if response contains key octet string application octet string. If you do that, then you will get a byte array from me. So it's sim field will be sim type byte array, and that will be the payload. Except that there could be there could be different types of responses, like different types of responses that derive from octet string. For example, if you return an Excel file back, you will return a byte array. So I need to say, but the media type will have a different name. So I need to somehow say if it's anything that looks binary or looks is binary like, and then make a byte array from it. Yeah, that looks good enough. Let's see if we have any of those responses that return octet stream. So, octet stream. It's only in the request body for now. Only one time in here. Okay. It's alright. What I really want to do is quickly make a first implementation of Hawaii and push it out there, because I really want to start using it to sharpen the edges a little bit and figure out all the edge cases that I'm running into. Because right now, although I look at the definitions look very loose, and I'm not sure exactly how people are using them and how the APIs will return the responses. So I'm really curious to see what people will, how people will use this, and what will come of it. But of course, I need to first come up with a initial implementation. But I'm almost there. Just going to figure out how to do the return expression thingy that I'm working with. Where is it? Return expression. This one. So return expression, right now we're returning a unit, and here I need to start doing some magic, but I hope it's not too complicated. Yeah, let's see how this goes. So the return expression should be a bunch of if-else statements actually, in which case I need to make checks. So we have the identifier called status, and to make some checks. Let's start with a simple if-else then. So yeah, also need to take care about the return type, whether we should use return or just the expression. Okay, let me do this. So wrapped return, which takes an expression. This one is going to check whether I need to wrap this one. So if it's synchronous, then create return at the very end, else just expression, right? And here will be Syn expression, create if else then. Let's create the if expression, will be wrapped return will be here. So the if expression will be status equals well the very first key. So let's see how this works. This is a bit weird. So if I don't need to do an if. I need to make a decision tree basically, but I'm not sure if it has to be an actual tree. Let's see. Like not an actual tree in the code, not an actual tree. Like a tree kind of structure. So let me, okay. Wrapped return Syn expression, create units. Let's create unit. Create unit for now, but here let's make some helper functions. So equal expression takes left and right and creates the equality test. So Syn expression create app infix. I think I want to make an infix operator. What does it take? An application infix takes the function argument and another argument. I would expect it takes, let's see what it does. Okay, I want to create equality. Let's look at what Fantomas does. So Fantomas is really Fantomas is the code formatter which this application uses, because I'm basically creating the AST for Fantomas to take care of it. As you can see, I'm still testing things out. This is how the AST looks like from the output of Fantomas. Let's make sure I'm not pitch dark yet. That's fine. Yeah, it needs to wake up, but basically we can see that this is an object model, blah blah blah, a binding, syn value info, long identifier, and all this business. But that's not for now. What I need is a simple equality test. So this is an application, and the identifier op equality takes two constants. Okay, so I should be able to say Syn expression creates partial app. Create partial app, and this takes the name of the function that I want to apply. In this case it's called op equality, and left and right, just like that. That will be my equal. Can I just say this? Okay. So the return expression is create return of that expression. There you go. Return expression will be Syn expression create if else then, if then else, and I need a condition. So if expression will be equal, and the left and the right. The left will be the status code. Create ident status code, or just status I think it's called. And this, the left hand side will also be an identifier from HTTP status code, and then okay, just making sure just testing out how the code will look like. So if expression, then expression will be operation name, right? We do have operation name. I hope. Why don't we have operation name? Let's see. Oh, it's called member name, but no, I want the operation name. I think I had it somewhere here. There you go. It's just member name, but capitalized. So capitalized will be what I'm looking at, what I'm looking for. So the then expression will be create ident, operation name capitalized, well, it's called member name, right? Member, capitalize, and then OK. Hoping that it doesn't have any payload, but we will check that. And that will be wrapped return. And then the else expression as well. Else expression will be create ident not found or something. So that will be my if else if then expression else expression. This will be something. Of course, this OK and this not found has to come from the actual operation. Right now I'm just testing the waters. Of course, the client won't work. If equals, it's almost right. If equals, then return, otherwise wrapped return. Okay, let's see. If synchronous, then just the expression, otherwise wrap it in return. Here, it almost works, except that create partial app won't work. It's a bit of a shame, because it has to be infix. Do we need to... Is synthetic... True. Are we talking about this? It's well, I could just say Syn expression oh no, that won't work. Create parent tuple, that won't work. Okay. It has to be an app, okay, that's fine. Let's do it to the painful way. So expression atomic app, atomic flag will be non-atomic, infix will be true, the func expression is the identifier, so the func expression is create ident of equality, something like this, equality. The arg expression will be left, and then range will be range 0. Infix expression, arg expression, range 0. But how does this look like? We have a double app, right? We have an app. Okay, so one of the applications is not infix, but the innermost is infix. Okay, that's it's a bit complicated. So we have this is the inner app, and then we have to say Syn app, Syn expression. Now I could say create app, because this will be the function, and then writes, because the outer app is not infix, but the inner app is. So let's see how this looks like. Oh, by the way, I need to wrap this also in wrapped return, so that will be wrapped return. All those expressions. Okay, I'm assuming we'll still get compile errors, but it will look somewhat better. Hey, that's cool at least. Update pet. Then okay. It kind of works. So this is the equality now works. We need to do something with the content. I think I need to handle a lot more than these. But that's fine, do it later. So yeah, this is going in the right direction. But of course, if we say okay, we need to say serializer deserialize content. But this also depends on this also depends on the output type from here, like the media type, because if it was just the binary array and I got a string, then that doesn't really work. I think returning binary files isn't really yet possible because the content is read here as a string. Maybe I should make specialized functions in the HTTP runtime to return a status and the response body as a byte array. Okay. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Right now add-pet works, but it's just missing this. It's not. Oh, it's pretty hard-coded right now, right? So that's not what we want, but still we got this out of the way. Let's make sure wrapped return works. So if I go to the configuration and now I say it's not synchronous anymore, I should get an async and I should get a return in here. And as you can see, we yeah, there you go. Now this is looking really nice, if it works. Because if this works, you could basically just put some breakpoints in here and follow the execution. It would be really nice. But for now we need to figure a bunch of things out, like how to make this if then else decision trees based on the response types. It was easy enough to create the types. The types are doing well. But I have to do something about the fallback here. I think I want to do, like I said, status of int to do the fallback, in which case if it's either this or some status, you don't know. Maybe status and a content, but I'm not sure you care at that point if the people who made the schema didn't care too much. It's just to make this work. Alright. What else? Yeah, we made this work. Something that still doesn't work is that, and that's why I said we need to work on it more, is the responses. Right now the content is defined like this, but if you define a loose object type in here, it won't work. So right now it's using a reference or saying like a list of strings, but if you you had a response where you had an object and it had properties which are not additional properties, then that would be a bit of a problem, because I would need to generate the type separately and use the type in the union. But again, these are edge cases I want to handle later. I want to get, first of all, a working implementation out of the way and publish it and see what people are thinking, how people use it and what issues they come across, and fix those as we go. Because yeah, I've been writing code for a long time right now on this project, and I really want to start actually using it. But yeah, it is really complicated. Alright, with that I think I will wrap it up. This was quite productive. Need to implement the status codes more. So this was initial attempt at the return expression. This was my initial attempt, and for the next time I think I want to start doing more with the decision tree. I'm not sure how difficult it would be. Maybe it would be really simple, but again, it depends to see how this works. I'm getting the hang of the expressions and everything, and using Fantomas makes it really easy to work with, so that's great. But with that, I think I want to wrap it up for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying this series.